Brethren, lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to brand new video. I'm back with Glenn, Cossy, and Glenn. The episode is back. And I'm going to be diving into some of the biggest stories around Arsenal Football Club. Of course, that Europa League fixture is coming up tomorrow. Do not miss all the content on the channel and also on Glenn's channel. I've been there for an episode, so make sure you do check that out. How are you doing, bro?
I am doing good. 4 wins in a row. Things are looking good right now. Injuries have kind of hurt us at the moment, but I'm still confident that things would go well for us. 2 months. We are 12 games away.
Yeah. This is almost the same period where we lost top 4, if you remember, and we're almost playing the same teams. Crystal Palace coming up, Brighton will be coming up as well. Newcastle will be coming up. But I hope we've learned. I hope we've learned a lesson, and we can just turn the results into positives this time.
I think we can. We're a more experienced team. The likes of Zinchenko aren't there. Jesus wasn't there. Jorginho wasn't there. All those guys. We had injuries to the likes of Pat and Tomiyasu. All those guys are now there. So very confident.
Yeah, obviously. Right. So let's dive into some of the biggest stopping points as Arsenal fans. Tomorrow we play in the Europa League, the first game of the round of 16. We take on Sporting CP, and it's a game where it's going to ask Arsenal to commit resources in terms of players, in terms of time, in terms of focus, in terms of everything. Because right now, this journey, like Mikel Arteta calls it a journey, it's one where we're going to invest a lot, all right? To win the Premier League is 12 games away. To win the Europa League, though, it is 6 games away, isn't it? It's actually
6 plus the final, 7.
Yeah, 6 plus the final, 7. And I wanted to ask you, the last time we talked on this channel, you told me our focus should be the Premier League, all right? We've done well ever since the last time we talked on the channel. We've won 4 games out of the possible 4 we could win. And you can only beat what is in front of you. But looking at that result against Bournemouth, Premier League is unpredictable, very, very unpredictable. Do you think the Europa League would be an easier option for us not to go, okay, let's concentrate on the Europa League, and if anything happens in the Premier League, it will be an overachievement?
I mean, in the Premier League, we already have an advantage. So we are playing from an advantage area, 5 points clear. For the Europa League, like we're starting from 0. We are starting with every single team from 0-0. So you have to beat every single team, defend for 2 legs. Everything needs to go your direction for 2 legs, basically. And I think in the Premier League, you can kind of control it, especially at your place and stuff. We are used to these teams as well. In the Europa League, most of these teams have never played before. So you never know what to expect. We know what to expect from Newcastle. Tough defensively. Trippier will cross the ball. Wilson will run in behind. We know what to expect. But when you're playing teams like Sporting, you don't know what to expect a lot of times. You never know which team you're going to get next. You might end up facing a tough Juventus team. The teams we're playing in the Premier League do not have world-class players. They have good players, but I don't think there's a world-class player at Leeds. But when you play Juventus, you're playing World Cup winners like Di Maria and those kind of players, so you have to give them the respect. So I still feel like Premier League is very important for us, more important because of whatever we've done this season, man. We've done so well this season, I wouldn't want us to throw it away. And I think people would forgive everything if we won the league and didn't win the Europa League more than if we won the Europa League and didn't win the league and we dropped off like to third or something. So I'm still focusing on the Premier League. I actually still believe there's very good teams in the Europa League. I know you actually say there's teams we can beat in the Europa League, a lot of them, but I feel like there's a lot of good teams. Like Sporting themselves are good. The likes of Man United are all good, so you never know. So I'd still focus on the Premier League and then Europa League, but I still feel we have good enough players to do well in both.
Yeah. So listen, we've dropped out of the FA Cup, we've dropped out of the Carabao Cup, and everyone gets the justification that we want to win the Premier League, right? They're out of the Carabao Cup, they have an excuse. They're out of the FA Cup, they have no excuse. So should we do the same? Do you think, because if you play a very, very poor side, like against Sporting in both legs, there is a guarantee that you'll be out. They are good, and they have every reason to play their best 11 in both games. They don't have any chances of finishing above Porto and Benfica, so their season is over literally for them. I don't see them, finishing out of the top 4 in Portugal. The only piece of silverware they can win this season is the Europa League. All right, so they're going to throw everything emotionally, energy, power to this game. Do you think Arsenal should just sacrifice the Europa League as well?
No, I don't think you can sacrifice like right now in the round of 16. I don't think so. So that is why I start thinking of what is the worst that could happen. You could go to the
Yeah,
Europa, and then after 2 games in the Premier League, you're back in second. You don't want that to happen. So, and you also don't want to lose games. When you get yourself into the habit of winning, you want to keep
yeah,
on winning. You get yourself back into the habit of, okay, we might lose this one, let's lose this one. You might start thinking like that as well. So let's just keep the winning mentality going. We have good enough players, even with rotation. You're going to bring in some good players from the bench, a couple of them. So I still think you can do well. If you play very well and you still end up losing 4-3, then fine. But you don't just like give them the game. No, you have the quality to beat them, especially at the Emirates Stadium. When they come to a place, we have the quality to beat them, and the fans and the atmosphere and everything.
because in the Carabao Cup, I still remember the Carabao Cup. Mikel Arteta said that he doesn't have the squad depth he wants to play in every single competition. He played, I think, Eddie Lokonga. He played
Nelson.
some. I don't know where he got that starting 11, but I think he was trying to prove a point to Eddie that I don't have the resources I need, and it was a walkover for Brighton. The FA Cup, maybe it wasn't a throwaway because we played well against Manchester City, but they got that Nathan Ake goal that I feel like we could have avoided anyway, and then we were out. So I personally look at the Europa League as a backup, like a very very strong backup. If Arsenal bottle the Europa League and we bottle the Premier League, I don't know where the streets will not be welcoming for me. Like the streets won't be welcoming for me. Everyone will be looking at me and go, hey, you lost, you bottled the Premier League, you bottled the Europa League, right? And I think we're also in that kind of Liverpool situation where they were last campaign. They're looking at two huge trophies, and they eventually win none of the huge trophies, and they win the peripherals, right? I think for us, the peripheral is going into UEFA Champions League. Like that is sealed. I don't expect Arsenal to finish fourth, fifth, third. The worst is second, right? So, and that's why I wanted to ask you if these two major trophies, are quite worth the run, or do you feel like we just have a small squad, just concentrate on the Premier League, just concentrate here, let's put all our baskets in, all our eggs in one basket, and if it blows up, we bottle it.
I think we have a good enough squad. Not as good as Man City or Real Madrid or anything like. But I look at Tomiyasu and White. I look at Tierney and Zinchenko. I look at Jorginho and Partey and Jack in midfield, Odegaard, Vieira, Smith, all those guys. I feel like all those players can give something in the Europa League, and we can definitely try and get something. I'm just like you. Not because of I know it's going to be very tough. We finish the season without anything, and we finish third, and then we get eliminated from the round of 16 in the Europa League. But because of the players, I feel like those players deserve something. I'd love these players to
So,
win something together, even if it's the Europa League. I would want them to win something together, so that that mentality of these guys have never won anything, we can
yeah,
eliminate that and go into next season even more confident, knowing you can win the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, the
yeah.
Champions League, maybe the Premier League, going into next season more confident. So I definitely want us to win one competition. So I'd go for both just in case. I feel like we can go for both. You never know. If you beat Sporting, you might get an easier draw. Maybe
I,
you'll
I don't
avoid
think there is
Juventus
an
and Man
easier
United.
draw than Sporting.
Avoid Man United and
Yeah,
Juventus.
maybe you could avoid Man United and Juve,
Yeah, yeah.
but listen, there is a Roma, there's a Juventus, there is a Real Sociedad, there's a Real Betis, there's a Man United.
What about the
There's,
likes of Nantes and Rennes? Not bad games.
yeah, the might not be bad games, but I don't think it gets any easier from the quarterfinals. According to the opponents I've looked at, maybe if you go for a Union Berlin, maybe a Union Berlin because I've seen,
I mean, even them, they're good.
yeah, even them they're good. So it doesn't get any easier. And I wanted to ask you about getting easier. Do you feel because we have 6 games in April in the Premier League, just 6 Premier League games in the coming month, all right? Do you think the Europa League just makes it harder because we'll have an extra 2 games of the quarterfinals in April? Does it make it harder for us to, either have a run at the Premier League because we have so difficult fixes in April in the Premier League? Do you feel like it's kind of a disadvantage for us at this point in time?
I mean, it could be a disadvantage, but so that is why I will talk about Man City. I think it will be a disadvantage, yes, but that is why you need to use definitely use your squad. Now, I think there's a time you're going to play a Europa League game, and then play Chelsea over the weekend. I think our Man City game is going to be on a Wednesday once again. It's going to be midweek
Yeah.
again.
No,
So I think you're going to.
actually, this is it. Let me to do the simple maths. If we have 6 games in 4 weeks in April, plus two, that is potentially plus two Europa League games. That is a game every 3 days, right? Like every 3 days, you're in action. Every 3 days, you're in action. You're playing on a Thursday and then you're playing on a Sunday. That is Friday, Saturday, resting time, Sunday action, and then you reset and restart.
So we could find ourselves in a situation where you're playing Juventus and then you're playing Newcastle in the league and then playing
Exactly.
Juventus again, then Chelsea, then Man City in the league. So
Exactly.
that could be very, very tough. That is why I'm hoping we could get an easier draw in the quarterfinal, but as you said, there's no easier draw. Now that is where in the Champions League, I'm also supporting Man City. I want them
Mm,
to be in that competition as well because I know the moment they go out and start focusing on the league,
it's
because
over.
they are going to play Bristol City in the FA Cup. They can rest everyone in that one. And
Yeah.
after that, they still have the likes of Sheffield United in that cup. So it's going to be easier for them. I expect them to get to the final, maybe against Man United. So I want them to stay in the Champions League as well so that they can have something to battle for as well. I don't want just us to have the tough games. So hopefully that is where you need our players to stay fit. That is where you need every player to fight. That's why you need Nelson to score goals and be confident, and Nketiah to be confident, Tomias to be confident. We need everyone, but it's definitely going to be tougher. That is going to be a real test, as you said.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. And someone on this channel told me, Cossy, you never expect an easy run if you want to be a top side.
Yeah.
So we need to start thinking the top, the big club way again in a very very long time. So it's not gonna be that easy. If we had a Juventus in the quarterfinals and we have a Man City, Chelsea, Newcastle run, um, would you sacrifice the Europa League there? Would you go get out of the Europa League, put all your energies on the Premier League?
I wouldn't do that. And I'm never a fan of that because you can do that. You can sacrifice against Juventus and then you lose against Chelsea, Newcastle. What happens after that? It's just the same situation as let's rest players in this game and play them in the next game, and then you end up losing both. You don't want that kind of situation. So I would mix it up in terms of squad. I'd mix it up. I feel like we have players who can play every single game, like Gabriel, Saliba, Dega, Xhaka. Mix it up. Use your squad. Play this one for 60 minutes here. Bring on this one for 30 minutes. Keep this one fit. Hopefully no injuries. So it's definitely going to be tough, but I wouldn't sacrifice it. But if you play very well and still lose the game against like a Juventus, that is fine. Then at least you come back to the Premier League still high on confidence and not low on confidence. So you don't just throw away competitions. As I said, winning mentality, keep the winning run going. Get used to winning.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like the Europa League gets in the way a little bit because you
Yeah.
want to continue that consistency, and resting time is gonna be very crucial, right? Very crucial. There is only 1 or 2 week, actually 1 week, where Arsenal play one Premier League game. Okay, one Premier League game in April. And that we would use that rest, but the Europa League is gonna fix itself in there. So, and actually, it could be a good point because when you're playing so many games and you're focusing on game by game, you could find yourself winning like 6 in a row, other than waiting 1 week and then playing the other weekend. Like,
Yeah.
it
Don't you
could also,
think don't don't you
yeah,
think it's also a good thing that those other teams that are following that the two teams are still in those competitions as well?
yeah, absolutely. I think that, yeah, that would be that would be the positive. City still
Yeah.
have more games. Actually, the positive here is
They have
City.
more.
Yeah, so yeah, City have more games because
Man United as well.
yeah, and remember the last game that we'll play in the Premier League, this month, City will not play. They'll be playing in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
So Arsenal could go like 8 points clear by the time we go into April. City will have a game in hand, no problem there. I want to be 8 points above, and then look at how we capitalize on that difference, right?
Yeah.
Because it
Yeah.
creates a lot of pressure for Manchester City, and it might be a positive for us. How far do you see us go in the Europa League realistically? That is the last one on this topic. Realistically, how far do you see us go in the Europa League? I don't care if it is your head predicting or your heart predicting. You could give me both predictions, actually.
I want us to win it, but I said at the beginning of the season we are going to win the Europa League and finish third in the Premier League. I'm going to say we're going to reach the
You've
semi.
massively bottled that one.
Yeah, yeah, we are going to reach the semi-final. That is my prediction. Hopefully, it can go further than that, but I think there's a chance that it can become too much in terms of games and tiredness, and maybe a couple of injuries creep up, and those teams that are remaining only have the Europa League to play for. So I would say semi-final. I would say semi-final.
Are the semifinals of the Europa League in May, in April?
I think one could be in April first leg, and then second leg could be. I actually think it could be something like April 15th, 16th, and then April 24th. There, I think it's actually April.
That would be so bad. Like that would
Yeah,
be very
that'd be so bad. Yeah, that would be so bad
because
for sure.
it will create for us games in hand in the
Yeah,
Premier League, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I just don't like that. I really really don't.
But those other teams will have FA Cup and FA Cup games as well, and Man City have Champions League, and Man United have Europa League as well. So there's actually a situation you could end up facing Man United as well in the Europa League, and I mean, basically in the same situation. Hopefully, Man City, if they beat Leipzig, hopefully they can get like a Real Madrid or a Bayern Munich, so that they can also have it tough through those months. So yeah, I actually think it could be at the end of April and the beginning of May if you make the semi-final, and then the final in May later.
I want us to go as far as the final, because I feel like
Yeah,
every team in this competition, the Juventus have actually risen. They've done very well ever since the points deduction,
yeah,
but I feel like we are at the same level with every team, or even better, with every big team in this in this competition right now. We are
yeah,
there, and that's why I want Arsenal to, and let's make it to the final. Just make it to the final. If we make it to the final, that will be a semi-final under Mikel Arteta, a final in the Europa League under Mikel Arteta as well, an FA Cup win, and maybe a Premier League,
yeah,
portrait, or even a Premier League title. I
yeah,
wouldn't really have a problem with that, right?
yeah,
So, talking about Mikel Arteta, rumors are that Real Madrid are looking to replace Carlo Ancelotti long term, and the fashion right now in world football is young managers. So
yeah.
Arteta has been added to the short list of managers that could replace Carlo Ancelotti long term, and that's why I want us to talk about Mikel. Do you see him as a long term manager? Do you see him as could he do an Arsene Wenger kind of run?
I mean, I don't think anyone will ever be able to do Arsene Wenger Ferguson numbers. I don't think
20
anyone will be able to
years?
do that. I can see 10 years. I can definitely see like 10 years. We went through a lot.
Yeah,
If you survive that, I think you can survive. And as Cossy knows, I have never ever said Ateta out. I've always been
yeah,
Ateta in.
yeah,
Through all this time we were losing to Villarreal in the semi-final, losing to Burnley home and away, losing that December. It was very bad, November, December, a couple of years ago. But I've always wanted him to stay. Even if we don't win a trophy this season, I know some people will be like, nah, Ateta needs to go. No, I want him to be here next season still, because there's something he's building. He's definitely building a good team. There's still players here that are not his and stuff. So by the time we get to next year, maybe everything will be his completely. So I definitely see him as a long-term option. I would not want him to go right now. And who would you get anyway? I think that would be
yeah.
tough. I remember people saying, ask why Arsenal getting Arteta when Tottenham are getting Conte, and you're sticking with teams are suffering. Tottenham want Conte out. Teams, the managers that we wanted, they're all out of those teams. So
Actually,
I
I
still,
think many people wanted a Mourinho before he went to Spurs. He's gone. Then I personally wanted a Conte.
yeah.
He's gone as well.
Yeah, and the players believe in him. I think the likes of Saka, Xhaka signing new contracts and stuff, they believe in Ateta as well. So if you get rid of Ateta right now, some players came here because of him. So you're basically breaking it. If you get a different manager, you never know. Saliba might end up leaving. Zinchenko might end up leaving because the manager doesn't really want a free role kind of left back, all that. So I want us to keep the same team. Like if it was possible, I'd probably get rid of maybe two players this summer and keep everyone else. Literally,
Yeah,
I'd want us to keep the same team and add to it, and then try again next season.
yeah. Of course, we'll talk about the Champions quality that we demand. But
Yeah,
with Mikel Arteta, I would rank him in among the young managers, excluding Pep, Klopp, Ancelotti. I would rank him top five. There is an
mm,
Angel Nagelsmann there, probably. There is an Eric Ten Hag there. Um, you have a Mikel Arteta. You have a Graham Potter. I think he's really doing very well, really impressing as a young manager. So the fashion is for everyone to go with a young manager, and the trend is spending money, right? You look at Madrid, Chouameni 100 million. You look at Chelsea, spending almost a billion on Potter. You look at Eric Ten Hag, who they say they haven't backed. Anton is almost 100 million. Casemiro is 60 million. So the trend is spending money. Do you think if the Cronkies do not match the spending power of the likes of Bayern, Madrid, he might just say, "I want to be the I want I'm gonna leave and I'm going to go somewhere where I'm backed. I'm not going to be like Arsene Wenger, who literally stood stood between the fans and the Cronkies. The Cronkies being the problem, but Arsene Wenger was the shield. Do you think we could lose him just because there are so many other spending powerhouses around Europe?
In the future, maybe yes. Right now, it's still a newer manager, so you'd expect such kind of stuff from the likes of Mourinho and Conte, who are used to being in the game and spending money before in the previous years. But it is so new, and I think the other thing that helps is that he's played for Arsenal. So
Yeah.
he understands the fans, he understands whatever he's building as well. So maybe in the future, if he feels like, okay, we've not taken a Premier League title, we're not building, and Man City have overtaken us, Liverpool are back on top of us again, Man United on top of us, maybe he could take the Real Madrid job. I mean, it's very hard to refuse the Real Madrid job. It's very hard
Yeah.
to refuse to play for Real Madrid. I mean, Mourinho once said that if you don't coach Real Madrid, you've not had a career. Basically, he said that, and he moved from Inter Milan to Real Madrid straight away. So
Yeah.
there's always that. But hopefully, he can stay. I believe he will stay, and hopefully, as you've said, we've been willing to spend 85 million, 90 million on Mudrik. It's been rejected. Caicedo's 60 or something is being rejected. Hopefully, they can keep on spending that money, and we can get good players from now and until Etsa is here, until Etsa leaves.
Right. So if you're watching this clip, please let us know how long should Mikel Arteta stay at Arsenal and how long are you predicting Mikel Arteta will be at Arsenal? I was massively wrong. I think I did a prediction when I was just joining YouTube and I said that Mikel Arteta would not last 3 years. He's actually now 4, right? So I was massively wrong about that. But I asked this question in the recent video and I'm going to ask it to you as well. What should we do to keep a manager like Mikel? Young, intelligent, ambitious, very, very principled. I've had many people praising Ten Hag for being principled. Mikel Arteta is really principled. He's a principled guy. And he's one guy that I think you will never hear any kind of nonsense out of his dressing room. Like senior players are saying this, those egos in the dressing room. You'll never hear that. I think his principles are right into the roots. To what extent would you go to keep him? What would you do? What would we do to keep him?
He has a managerial role at Arsenal.
Yeah.
Let him keep that. If he wants to sign a particular player, let him do it. If he wants Zinchenko from this particular team, let him do it. Obviously, let him do it. They do. Let them control that. Don't take it down to a coaching role or let the owner of the team, like Todd Boehly is doing at Chelsea,
Yeah.
sign the players for the manager. No, let him control all that, the transfers. If he wants an Aubameyang to leave, let him leave. If he doesn't get along with him, that is what you do. You let him control whatever is on the pitch and a bit of the board area as well in terms of players signing and player contracts and all that. If he says he wants Xhaka to stay, let him stay. If he says he doesn't want this one to stay, let him do that. So I think in terms of make him feel at home, make him feel like he has control of the important things as well. And if he asks for money, give him the money, let him buy the players. If it doesn't work, if we sign all these players and you build him a team for the next 2-3 years and no improvement as well, then after that you can change. But I think if you do that, let him control on what he can and a bit of the board area as well, I think we can be okay.
Yeah. Do you see him do a club like 6 years of immense success? And of course, I'm asking you this in light where you have Newcastle coming up with a lot of money. Manchester City
Mm-hmm.
could potentially be taken over by Qatar, a lot of money as well. You have Liverpool who are looking for investment and injection. That means a lot of money is going to come into Liverpool as well. And then Chelsea, who have already spent 1 billion. Do you think he can be kind of, even if not dominate, but do that, top level 6 years, 7 years?
Now, I did a show a couple of years ago on Lucas' channel and Stephen Fitley's channel, rest in peace to him. We were talking about, they asked me a question in 2021, I remember. It was December of 2021. They asked me how long, because they wanted that out completely. They wanted that in. So it was a very tough time for me to answer those questions. They were like, when do you think Arteta is going to win the league and when is he going to win the Champions League? So I said Premier League in the next 2 to 3 years.
Ooh,
it could be
that was
happening.
bold.
And they
That was
asked me
bold at the time.
what about the Champions League, and I said in less than 5 years we're going to get the Champions League. So we are 2 years into that. So we have 3 years to win it. Next season, the previous season, the next season after that, or the next season after that. So that was my aim. So I think, Cossy, we're in a good situation. I think we're actually going to end that European run and win that Champions League. And that means that would be a huge success for us.
Yeah,
If we win the Champions League, that would be huge. I don't think it's going to be every single season Arsenal winning the Premier League, then 3 times like Man United back in the day. No, next season we could finish second or third, but win a cup, and then the next season, or maybe Champions League, get eliminated in the quarterfinal, come back next season, do well in
win
the
the
Champions
Premier
League.
League, maybe.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, fight for the Premier League again, lose it on the last day, maybe win the Carabao Cup for the first time in years. I can see us in the next, if you ask me, 7 years, yes, I can see us taking at least 5 trophies, hopefully.
5 trophies. Wow. I
Yeah,
mean, that would be huge for an Arsenal side that has gone like, 7 years just picking up, very, very few. We picked
yeah,
up um, actually, was it Mikel Arteta's FA Cup? And then
yeah,
maybe St. Wenger's FA Cups, along the way. We had a golden chance to win the Europa League, but
yeah.
Unai
Two
Emery,
golden
Unai
chances,
Emery did
two
that.
golden chances. Yeah.
Because Unai Emery is the guy that wins Europa League everywhere he goes. He wins it,
Mhm.
even at Villarreal. How did he not win it at Arsenal? Right?
We actually had 3 chances, that final, and
Yeah.
also Villarreal. We had a home
The
leg in the
Villarreal,
second leg,
the
and
Villarreal
Arteta.
semi-final.
We should have won that as well, and
Uh,
Atletico
the
Madrid.
Atletico Madrid semi-finals. Is it? Is it under
Yeah,
with Wenger?
because if we won that game, I think we'd have had like a Marseille in the final.
Yeah, I
That
must
would have
say in
been
the
another
final.
trophy.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
could have won it. Yeah, we could have
So
won it.
yeah, so I'm not just saying that because Arteta is doing well right now and Arsenal fans are deluded. No, I said that in 2021. I said we're going to win the Premier League in the next 2 to 3 years, and I said Champions League in less than 5 years. And they laughed. They were like, "Nah, you Arteta in guys are absolutely deluded." I was like, "Well, let's see."
You know what? If you ask me which season I wanted to be in the UEFA Champions League, it is this season. I kind of feel like
Mm,
I'm backing Napoli to go all the way to the final. Like I'm
yeah,
just backing Napoli, and every team has dropped off. Bayern are not doing well. Madrid are struggling against the likes of Real Betis at home. Like you could just run away with it. I'm not saying you could confidently win it or very well,
yeah,
but you could just
yeah,
run away with it.
yeah.
Uh, Last question with Mikel: if he becomes a long-term manager, like Arsene Wenger, do you have a problem with that? Do you have a problem with managers staying too long and then that eventually creating a ripple effect? After they leave, you have to rebuild, demolish the structures they had built, and then start over again, spend more money again, and then go through that period where you're not winning, you're finishing eighth. All the other clubs are enjoying the success, and for you, you are on a low. Do you have a problem with that?
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't want a manager to stay past 10 years in this generation. But as you say, things have changed. Right now, there's now younger managers. Back then, there was a 50-year-old manager joining, 60-year-old manager joining. You don't want them to be there until they're 80 or anything like that.
Mm.
No, unless you're Wenger, Ferguson, and even Simeone. I think Simeone has done well for Atletico Madrid. It's got them to a couple of Champions League finals, won a couple of league titles, and it's kept them consistent. Top three, top three, top three, top three. Atletico Madrid never used to be that kind of team. Like the likes of Valencia and Sevilla were above them, but it's kept them consistent and stuff. But even right now, I feel like Atletico Madrid need a change. So after some time, you definitely need a change. I mean, you can't win the Premier League and the Champions League and then tell the manager we need a change. No, you can still give them time. And also, I'm pretty sure the manager would want to change, maybe a break and stuff. So I'm sure all those teams will change managers. If you say between now and 2030, I don't think Guardiola will be at Man City. I don't think Klopp will be at Liverpool. I don't think Ten Hag will be at Man United. And Tottenham obviously would have changed managers maybe another 100 times as well. Chelsea as well. So yes, I maybe by 2030 and stuff, we'll need a change as well. But let's see how it goes in the next 2-3 years.
Yeah. Of course, the project we have, guys, it's a Mikel Arteta project. I don't think it is. I don't think it's a project that you bring Mourinho in and he
Mm,
thrives. He wouldn't,
no,
right?
yeah,
So it's a Mikel Arteta project, and that's why I'm very confident he's not going anywhere until this project bears fruit. We have already seen it. If you back him, if we do back him, he will bear fruit. There's no question about that. Now, moving into some of the biggest stories this week, Florin Balogun and Ketia could be the two players that Arsenal lose, players that you don't want to lose, but could leave in the summer. let's start off with Florian Balogun, Glenn. Balogun is flying in the French League R, 21 goals in 25 appearances for Reims. One of the top scorers in Europe, one of the top scorers in the French League R. It is believed that he doesn't want to come back at Arsenal and be a third choice striker. If he comes back, he either wants to be the second to Gabriel Jesus or even have that guarantee for playing time. Newcastle again. Newcastle again. Are the club interested in him? Talk to me about Balogun. Keep, sell, bench.
He's absolutely having a fire season. His team
Yeah.
as well is doing well. I think his team is like 19 games unbeaten or something with the young manager. They're doing very, very well. To be honest, I always thought he was okay, but I didn't think he was this good to score 20 goals in a season or something. I didn't think he was that kind of good. And I've seen his finishes sometimes, absolutely incredible, man. And he's fighting for top scorer top scorer awards with those big guys there, World
Against
Cup winners and
Mbappe.
stuff.
Against
Yeah.
Kylian Mbappe. Yeah.
World Cup winners, man. So it depends on two situations. If he doesn't want to come, then you sell him. But at the moment, I'd send him on another loan, another year, just like Saliba. Send him on another loan once again. See how he does. Right now, I mean, if you sell him right now, you can easily get 35 million or something. I don't know if Frames would be able to pay that, but we should be able to get something like that. But I'd give him another loan. He's 21 years of age. Give him another loan, maybe in the same team or a different club, just like Saliba, but in the same league. Let's see how he does. Let's see if he can actually keep it going. Then if his numbers drop to like 12 from 20 and his price drops from like 35 to 25, then you can sell him right away or say, you know what, we can just bring you back. Let's see, we saw something the previous season. But at the moment, I'd send him on another loan. I'd not sell him, no. Unless it 100% does not want to come back. But I feel like we need another season to see what happens with Jesus, see what happens with Nketiah, and then he's still our player. Let him go out on loan. If Nketiah stays, I think he will stay next season, and doesn't do well next season, then you can think about selling Nketiah and bringing back Balogun. But next season, I actually want something different. I want, I know Nketiah is going to stay, so Jesus Nketiah, and I want a different kind of striker, a tall striker heading the ball. You can put in the ball into the box. So those are the three strikers I want next season.
Yeah, exactly. Because we're also going to talk about a center forward. But this is what I would do with Florian Balogun. I think sending him back on loan is very, very good. You let him sign a new deal, and then send him back on loan. We don't do it the way we've done with Saliba. You first let him sign a new deal, and then send him back on loan, because there's so many eyes around him. There's so many eyes that are trying to look at him. I would send him on loan to a club like Brighton. And this is like very dangerous, because Brighton are some of the clubs that are creating the highest XGs, expected goals, in games. So if you give them a prolific finisher, he would definitely tear right at Brighton. But I would take him to Brighton. I want to see if he's getting these chances against harder opponents, right? How would he actually fare on? Because Brighton don't care. Whether you're Liverpool, whether you're Man United, Manchester City, West Ham, they can create 10 chances, 10 goal scoring opportunities per 90 for you. Can you convert that? But then I also thought about, I kind of feel like Eddie is ahead of Balogun in development, right? But I feel like I would want to see Balogun ahead of Eddie. I would want to see a season where Balogun is there, like next season. I would love to see him there and try Eddie, maybe, and sell Eddie. Would you be open to that? We sell Eddie to, I don't know, I don't know, maybe West Ham. West Ham have always been big fans of Eddie Nketiah. We sell Eddie to West Ham. We buy in a striker like a Skamaka kind of guy, right? Huge, has different facets to his game, and then Balogun, is there. You tell him you will be playing every single cup competition for Arsenal.
I mean, we're in the Champions League next season, so I don't think he will be playing that. Yeah. And Carabao Cup, he could easily be eliminated in the first round, and then you're killing his development. So I'd still keep him out on loan. I'd not bring him back next season. I think there's some teams who usually do that very rush. I think it was Loftus-Cheek or something. I think Loftus-Cheek did very well for Fulham on loan from Chelsea, and Chelsea I think brought him back right away. and they killed his development. And I think
Yeah,
they've done the same thing with Gallagher. They should have
yeah,
left Gallagher on at Crystal Palace on another 1 year. You'd have been absolutely crazy. Now he's come back to Chelsea, and I think he's gone down. I think his value was like at 40 million at the end of last season after playing for Crystal Palace. Right now, I don't think I'd pay 15 million for Gallagher. So you need to be careful in terms of, oh my goodness, he's done well for 20 games. Let's bring him back. No, give him another 20. I mean, he did very well. Saliba did very well at Saint Etienne on his loan deal. He did very well at Nice. We could have brought him back immediately, but he decided, you know what, let's send him to Marseille for the third season until we are sure. Until people are not happy. People wanted us out because of that. Why are
yeah,
we keeping this defender? And Saliba
yeah.
is there, but it's worked. It's come back. He's come back grown, fully developed. I think I'd do the same thing with Balogun. Let him keep on playing. Let him keep on playing. Maybe he can get an international call up. Let him keep on playing for another season on loan. I'd keep Nketiah, but as not as a second choice, like cup competitions have said, and maybe come on. I think he's now his Premier League experience, like he'd not be afraid of playing against an Aston Villa or Man United. He's done it, so I'd keep him. And anyway, I don't think he will be sold at the end of the day. I think he will stay no matter what we say. So I think he will be here with the third striker, as you said, either like someone like a Skamaka, tall, bully in the box. So those would be my three strikers. Keep Balogun out on loan for another season. I'd love Brighton for sure. Brighton, I'd love to play for Brighton if I was a player. I mean,
Yeah,
everything is just so good.
yeah,
They're attacking,
yeah.
attacking, attacking. So many good players.
They're the best well-run club in the world right now. I'll just give
Yeah,
them that.
yeah, for sure. That is what I'd do.
Yeah. So if Florian Balogun goes, the good thing is that he's not a contract rebel. He signed his new
Yeah,
deal in 2020 January, was it? Actually,
yeah,
2022
hmm,
January, before going out on loan to Middlesbrough in the
yeah,
championship.
yeah,
So
yeah,
his contract, but I think we would need to make it better just to recognize his development in France. We just need to make it better. There's no problem with about that. How
hmm.
about just the idea of him going to Newcastle on a permanent, because that is what we're looking at. Newcastle are offering themselves as an outlet to Florian Balogun, who doesn't want to be a third choice striker at Arsenal. And what we are hearing is that they are ready to bid for the youngster. Newcastle is a new Manchester City, and all people must understand that the difference between Newcastle and Man City is that Newcastle's development has like come very quickly. Manchester City took some time, but Newcastle's is coming. One season they survived relegation and finished mid-table. The second season they are hanging in the top four. Trust me, the third season they're winning some silverware, and they're real competitors and a big threat to anyone in the top six. Would you give them Balogun? Would you?
No, not at 21 years of age. That's a promising youngster. Unless they're splashing something like 70 million that you're like, oh, this you're going to take, like they did with Willock. I think Willock helped them for that season. That particular season, he helped them, and last season as well, surviving relegation. He definitely helped them until I think they splashed like almost 40 million or something for him. I don't remember the exact price, but they paid a lot of money
Yeah,
for Willock.
it was around 40 million euros, 35 million pounds.
I would not pay that for Willock. So I think they kind of overpaid for him. So unless they're playing like 70 million for Balogun, I'd not give him. And as you said, I would respect them. All those guys, I would not sell directly to our rivals. That's why I'm not keen on. Like I was imagining, like giving them TNE, for example, and then they have Trippier and Ban. They have the best defensive record in the league. So you add them TNE as well on top of that. No, so I don't want to strengthen them because I feel like we are not going to be at the top with Man City by ourselves, just the two of us for the next 5 seasons. No, I expect these teams to be there. I expect us to be maybe third, second, fighting for these teams. First, then second, third, they're fighting with these teams. So I would not give Newcastle.
Right. So the other clubs interested in Florian Balogun, Lazio, AC Milan. I think he would do actually very much wonders at Milan. You give
Mhm.
them Balogun on loan. I think they don't get a lot of chances, but they have just made themselves a better side in the Italian Serie A. So they win so many games, and if they have a striker like Balogun, and he's playing for a big club like Milan, actually, it would actually enhance his development. He might even play in the UEFA Champions League if he plays for Milan on loan.
Yeah.
So those are the clubs interested in Florian Balogun. The other players that we are talking, we're going to talk about is Kieran Tierney leaving. Nuno Tavares could leave, according to Gary Jacobs, and Albert Sambi Lokonga. Let's start off with Kieran Tierney. Tierney is not happy. There is word that he's not celebrating with the team. It's pure rumor, and I'm not getting this from any trusted source. But do you think it is that bad? Do you think it's that bad?
Nah, I don't think it's that bad. Tierney was not dropped from the team because he's useless or he got it fall out to the
Mm,
manager. It's really because of the injuries, and we
mm,
can't blame him for that, and he can't blame us for looking for another left back because of that. Because
yeah,
he was always injured, so you can't really blame anyone for that. It's not like the Aubameyang situation where it's like personal and stuff, or the Ozil situation where it's personal and stuff. So I don't think it's that far fetched, and I think it's a team play. I saw him. No, I saw him when he came on for Zinchenko in one of the last two games. I don't remember which one it was. He looked happy, like he was hugging Zinchenko, celebrating when he scored against Aston Villa in the last minute. He was celebrating with Smith Rowe on the bench and Arteta as well. So I don't think it's that serious in terms of him
yeah,
not wanting to celebrate with the team. But do
yeah.
I think he will leave? I do. He was not signed by Arteta. Every player that was not really signed by Arteta and was signed by
He's
Emery and
literally
Wenger.
out of the door apart from Jaka.
Yeah, Pepe is no longer here. You're signed by Emery. I don't think he'll come back. He's on loan, by the way. You can still add Pepe next season if we wanted, but he's no, I don't think he will be coming back. I think he will be sold. Players like Bellerin, Wenger, players that used to play with Arteta, same country and everything. He didn't want them. They went. So we only have like the likes of Jacques El Neni holding from us in Wenger's era. So I think we can't. I think he's done a good service for us. So I don't think you can hold him and tell him, no, you're going to stay by force. No, if he wants to go, let him go. But it's crazy. I mean, it's kind of sad because you were people. I think 50% of Arsenal fans wanted him to be captain after
Yeah,
Xhaka. People were like actually voting him for
yeah,
captain, but he doesn't fit into our play style in terms of Zinchenko. I don't think Tierney can do what Zinchenko does, like run to the right side, middle, number 10.
mm,
I don't think he has that creativity. He can cross the ball, yes, from the left side, but in terms of through passes from midfield and just tempo and running, he'll get injured. So I don't think he can do that. He would be a very good backup if he understood that we also have the Champions League next season and you'll get a lot of big games. Zinchenko can play against Chelsea and you play against Barcelona over in the Champions League. If he understood that, it would be great because if we could keep all of them, that would be perfect. But I don't think we can, unfortunately.
yeah. We can't really, and of course you've got to feel for him. He's competing with the likes of Aaron Heike on national level. If you're not playing football, and Aaron Heike is playing for a Brentford side that have not lost a game since October, if the manager goes for Aaron Heike, which would be like impossible, but if he goes for Aaron Heike over Kieran Tierney, you don't blame him. So you look, and he loves Scotland. He loves Celtic, and this guy really, really, really is
Mm-hmm.
a loyal is a loyal person. I would love him to stay at Arsenal. I would love him to be more involved. If he could be that versatile like Tomiyasu, I would even say bench Gabriel Magalhaes and play him there, but he's not as versatile as Zichenko and Tobiasu. So yeah, I think he will leave. Now the positive out of him leaving is that the revenue we're going to spend in the summer, according to the Times, is going to come from potential sales and potential Champions League revenue. So that could be around 120 million collected. How much do you value him at? Because for me, 30 million is a no. It's a no go zone. If anyone comes with 30 million, unless it is 30 million quid plus 15 million euros in add-ons.
I mean, because of the injuries, it does take a hit. But I usually look at teams like Chelsea. Chelsea were about to sell Gallagher to Newcastle, I think, or something before the transfer window closed. They wanted 40 million for Gallagher, who had not even done anything throughout this season. Chelsea are asking for like 60 million, 50 million for Hudson Odoi, someone who never plays. So if they're able to get that kind of money for those players, despite injuries and stuff, how much Zinchenko we paid around 30 something million. He never used to play at
35.
Man City that much. Yeah. Tomiyasu we paid like around 20 something as well. Ben White was 50 million as well. So because of if it's not because of injuries and he was playing every single day and you want Tierney, you're going to pay 60 million at least. But since the injuries have affected his playing time and everything, I'd add 10 million to that for
10
40
million.
million. Yeah,
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
because of
look,
the injuries.
yeah, 40 is good. 40 is good. But I want us to show some kind of power in
Mm,
negotiations. Look at Shakhtar. Look at
yeah.
Shakhtar, man. They had 90 million from Arsenal on their table and they rejected it. 90 million in January, right? If we can be that club, like because there's no question. There's so many unhappy players that are going to come out of Arsenal in the next years. Why? We're going to have a lot of talent, and we're going to have a lot of very very good players. For example, Fabio Vieira in the next maybe 4 years could be like, I can't get ahead of Odegaard, and maybe if Arsenal sign a player like Julian Brandt and he says I can't get ahead of Julian Brandt, I want to leave, right? But we bought him at 40 million. Can we get something like 60, 70 million, out of him? We need to be stronger in negotiations. But I hear you on that. Kieran get 40 million out of him. Use that money to finance a move for Declan Rice, and yeah, it would
We
be
paid we paid around 25 million or something for him.
yeah,
So do you
exactly.
think if we sell him for 50 million, it's because he's improved, or it's just because the market has changed?
The market has changed, but I also think he's improved a lot. He's played more game time at a top level against top sides, and he's had more marketing
Yeah.
because he's played in the Premier League for Arsenal than in Scotland for Celtic. So he's actually much better as a player in terms of value, but also in terms of his football.
That's true. We've been bullied a lot in the transfer market.
Ah,
As I said, I remember us giving Ramsey to Juventus on a free, and then 1 year later they tried to
who
sell
does
him to
that?
us for 40
Who,
million. Like
who
that is
does?
just like disrespectful.
Yeah,
We lost Sanchez on a free, Mkhitaryan on a free,
yeah.
Mustafi on a free, Socrates on a free, several players on a free. Even Leno, Fulham wanted to pay us like 4 million for
3
Leno.
million. Actually,
Absolutely not. So we need to bully people as well.
Leno was commenting on his price tag, and he said, unless I'm a very, very bad player, 3
Mhm.
million is too little for me.
Yeah, very true. So we are being bullied in the transfer market. So what about us? We bully people this time around. You want Balogun, 60 million. You want Tierney, 60 million. Then we can negotiate from there. If you want Pepe, or he's done well for you this season, 40 million. So we need to not get bullied in the transfer market.
True. The other two players that are likely to leave in the summer, Nuno Tavares. I was surprised at this. Ben Jacobs again. One of those guys that now I really, really, really feel like when he says something, it's not gospel truth, but he's had an insight. Okay, so he says Nuno Tavares could be leaving Arsenal. I don't get it. Like that was my initial reaction. That is my raw reaction. I don't understand if Kirantian is going. I understand, but no, I don't get it. What's your take on that? Like, not Tavares maybe leaving, and I know we will make a massive profit, but it doesn't make any sense to me.
We make a massive profit, yes. Now it depends. If Tierney leaves, then Tavares, I don't know if you have plans to sign another left back, or are we going to sign another right back like the one from Real Sociedad and then move Tomias to the left side? I don't know what will happen with that one. But ideally, he would be the one coming back to
Yeah.
cover for Zinchenko, because he's done very well in terms of attacking as well for Marseille, scoring goals and assisting. But if they would give us enough money, I would sell him as well.
What's your price? What's your price?
Right now, 30 million.
Yeah, 30 million, I'll take it. 30 million,
Yeah.
I'll take it. But I tell you what, according to what I've seen that guy do, I'll keep him for another year. Maybe if he doesn't want to come out Arsenal, send
Keep
him
him
back
there.
on Marseille, right? Just
Yeah,
keep
I
him.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that guy could be a 40, 45, 50 million signing, right? And I don't know how Benfica have given us such a talent. Was it 10?
Yeah, something crazy like that. Very little money.
Very
Very
late.
little money.
Yeah, very, very later. But look, if Mikel decides for him to go, we won't have any say in that.
For
I would like,
Balogun,
yeah,
I'd not listen. For
yeah,
Tavares, I'd be willing to listen to offers.
willing to listen. And lastly, is Albert Lokonga. Again, Jacob says that it is highly likely that Lokonga will
Yeah.
leave through the window.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes you can come back like Xhaka. You can come back and create another relationship with the fans and everything. But at the moment, it feels like he didn't do anything to the fans, but it feels like some fans have already given up on him totally. Like half of the fan base, and we are starting to hear about arguments with him and Odegaard and Xhaka trying to tell him to do this and that. I think he really wanted to leave after that game against Man City. I think he really wanted to leave. So it depends on what Arteta is planning to do with the formation and the tactics and everything. Lokonga cannot play as a number 6. He cannot do that. He cannot play the Jorginho
exactly.
role.
Yeah, that was what I was going to ask you. Did we play him wrongly? Did we?
Yes.
Did we play him out of position?
Yes, and we did that in some really tough games. Last season when he got eliminated by Was it Liverpool in the Carabao Cup? Was it semi-final or quarter-final or something?
Yeah,
When we drew at their place. I think it was semi-final. We drew
yeah,
at their place. Very good draw with 10 men after Xhaka got sent off.
yeah. Ali.
I th- early. We got a point, yes. We got like a draw and went to the second leg with a draw. But in that game, I felt like it was suicide. Playing Lokonga by himself in midfield, like there was no Jacques in that game, there was no party. We played Lokonga by himself up against players that are experienced, who've won Champions League titles and Premier League the previous years. So I think that is suicidal. So the problem with Lokonga is Tavares, you can make an argument. Lokonga just don't feel like he fits into the system unless he plays really well for Crystal Palace and he lands that number that Xhaka role, number 8 role or something, and comes and helps Xhaka in that role because we have a lot of competitions next season, then maybe. But just because they don't fit into the system, I think he's better in a 4-2-3-1. I would sell him if we get the right price.
Yeah, absolutely. There is no question about that. I think with Lokonga is one of those signings that the team didn't get wrong, but we just could have done better. As simple as that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
systems.
and
I mean, I don't think he's a bad player.
no, he's not.
Like in preseason, I think preseason he scored like 3 goals and 3 assists
Yeah.
or something in preseason. He actually did well, but system is the problem. It doesn't fit into our system unless he can land the Xhaka role.
Yeah. Do you think Arsenal can make a profit on him as well? Like he's not had a very good time at the club.
Unless he plays well at Crystal Palace. If you had to sell him right now, I don't think so. I think we'd get him maybe around the same.
Around the same.
Yeah.
Ah, all right. So that is it in terms of departures and players that Arsenal could lose in the summer, and that is what our tech is. You can also let us know in the comment box below what you think about these, those names, and maybe where they can play and how much Arsenal could get out of them to finance our moves in the summer. Now, talking about players incoming, Arsenal are looking for a centre forward. This one also shocked me a little bit, but it comes in from David Onstein, and I was talking to CBS. So David Onstein is kind of an insider journalist. Like he has a lot of sources from the inside, and he says Arsenal are interested in signing a centre forward, midfielders, and also a fullback. But what's interesting is that ever since that story broke, we
Mm.
have been linked with almost 4-5 players in that position, like strong links.
Yes.
The first question is: do we need another centre forward as we go into the UEFA Champions League?
Oh yes, we definitely need another centre forward. It's not enough. Even if we had all three of them, Jesus and Nketiah and Balogun, I still feel we need something different in terms of a forward line. And also, we all know Nketiah is not like a clinical finisher. We all know that, and Jesus is not probably going to get it 30 goals in a season because he's a different kind of player. And I think Balogun is not 100% ready for the Premier League. So I definitely think we need a striker. We got a good one in Jesus last season. But at the time, after we knew Aubameyang had gone in January and Lacazette was going in the summer, we wanted 2 strikers, but we only got one,
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus, and we let Balogun go. So we only remained with 2 strikers for the whole season. Yes, people say Martelli can play there. That was before Trossard came in. But I still think we need that striker who, if they're happy to be on the bench and maybe start a few games, because sometimes I look at it like that Bournemouth game. Yes, we ended up getting the winner, but I always look at it like this crosses. I could see Zinchenko with the ball on the left side. He can't really cross the ball because it's Martinelli in the box with some giants of Bournemouth defenders. So he needs something different, like a Giroud. Like if you can get a Giroud from 6 years
Yeah,
ago,
yeah,
I'd be
yeah.
so happy to have someone like that. But yes, I do think we need another striker.
I would disagree with you a little bit, just a little bit. I wouldn't take the Giroud 6 years ago. I'll take
Mm,
Giroud for the
right
last
now.
3 years.
Mm,
From now, counting the last 3 years, from 2018, right?
yeah.
Because that's when he wins the World Cup. That's when he wins. Does he win the Champions League during that time with Chelsea, or was it the Europa League?
Chelsea. I think he won the Champions League with Chelsea. I think he
Exactly.
scored against
And then,
Sevilla. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And the Italian Serie A with AC Milan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll take the Giroud, the older Giroud, the older
Mm,
version, the one
mm.
that doesn't waste a lot of chances. So
Mm.
I also kind of agree with you. You feel like this Arsenal side just needs that kind of striker that is so competent in front of goal. Like that is his specialty. You need someone whose specialty is competence and being clinical in front of goal. Like if we got someone like that, can also score different kind of goals, jumping into the air, holding off players, and shrugging them off, like Haaland does or like Ivan Toney does. I would definitely be
I'm
comfortable with it.
I'm going to put a crazy name out to you because he's
Yeah.
very good in headers and pace and stuff. Would you get someone like an Antonio from West Ham?
Antonio, the age could be
Mm.
something, yeah, the age, but
He's not clinical. He's not
yeah,
clinical
it's
like
not
that. But in terms
clinical.
of
But yeah,
headers and stuff,
yeah, yeah. I love his game. I love his other attributes to the game. I tell you what, better than nothing, I'll take Antonio.
mm,
Like better
mm,
than nothing, I'll take Antonio. And of course, you remember they have Skamaka already, so they'll
yeah,
be willing maybe to negotiate. They'll be willing to listen to a few offers.
and also there's a chance they could get relegated. I don't think they will, but there's a chance.
Yeah, yeah. There is a chance, and of course, I want them to be relegated to get so that we get Declan Rice at a very cheap price, right?
Hey,
So
hey.
Osimhen is one of the players that have been linked with us. Not the first time, of course. Even through the summer, even through the other years, he's been linked with Arsenal. With this interview with Sky, he said, "My dream is to play in the Premier League. I want to play in the Premier League," and that has actually brought a lot of excitement, especially in Man United fans. But that doesn't mean he's gonna sign for Man United, does it? He's now been linked with us, and Fabrizio made it clear that Arsenal would like to sign a player at centre forward. It is not Victor Osimhen only, and right now there are no talks. The reason that's why I would not take Osimhen a year ago is he had not proven to me that he can score 18, 19, 20, 25 goals in a campaign. This season, he's the best striker for me right now in Europe. And if Napoli win the Italian Serie A, there is one name they'll have to praise. It's Victor Osimhen. Your striker turning up in a season where you need him to turn up, right? Scoring every kind of goal. Is that kind of lonely striker as well. You can play as a lone striker when you're playing tough games and you're soaking up the pressure. His hold up play is very good. I like him. I really, really like him this season. Would you take Victor Osimhen? Is he the kind of striker that we are lacking, or his attributes are very similar to what we have right now?
I mean, I think if he joins a team like us, I think that kind of takes away Jesus because you take him back to the bench. Jesus, I don't know if they can play together, but should I take him? My goodness, I will pay for the petrol to go and get him. Osimhen, oh my goodness. If we win the league, I think we have a slight advantage over teams like Man United. Obviously, they can still attract players and everything. Man City can pay more, Newcastle can pay more probably, but also the playing style. I think
Yeah,
it fits into the play style of Man City and Arsenal and teams like Brighton. The way Napoli play, absolutely enjoyable. Those guys put 5 past Juventus, I think 4 or 5 past Liverpool because of how they play.
yeah,
Always attacking, relentless. Even if they're 3 goals up, they're still attacking, and it
yeah,
fits into that kind of game with Kvaratskhelia. I think we have our own Kvaratskhelia in Martinelli. I think we have our own Lozano in Saka. I think we have our own Zielinski in Odegaard in midfield and everything. All those players that he is used to playing with. So I definitely take him, and he adds a lot, man. In the box, he's very dangerous. Headers, left foot, right foot combination play. That is basically you're signing a striker that I don't think Arsenal have ever signed before. Like
yeah,
I don't think we've ever signed that kind of striker. Maybe Aubameyang. Yes, Aubameyang was at the top of his game when you signed him. Maybe like a Z, but not too many you get. Even when you signed Thierry Henry wasn't really a striker. Wenger turned him into that. So Osman, you're signing a proven striker. He did not get the numbers that I think it was Lille and
yeah,
Wolfsburg or something. He was on the bench.
yeah.
Right now, he's absolutely on form. Actually, if I was him, I would not leave Napoli. I'd stay next season for another one
Yeah,
season and
yeah,
see how it
yeah,
goes.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And look, big credit to Napoli because to scout him without
Mm,
having a major season like 20 goals, 25, and they paid a lot of money for him. They paid
mm.
really big money for him. He's one of the most expensive African strikers, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah,
In the
right now, it
draft.
should be the most expensive.
Yeah, the most
Right.
expensive African striker. So to scout him and take him up, and they believed in him all the way. Do you know that clubs were willing to pay over 80 million for Osimhen even before he became this crazy?
Yeah, that was like last season and stuff. And right now, he's
Yeah,
become better. He's
it's become
become better right now. So
yeah,
I would have loved to see Nigeria in the World Cup to see what he'd have done at the World Cup. But he's an absolutely on fire, man. When are they playing? I think they're playing next week in the Champions League. I expect him to score again. Even against Lazio and they lost, he hit the post. He's a major threat. Those kind of strikers who, when defenders know they're up against him, they won't be able to sleep. Now, imagine defenders are thinking about, oh my goodness, Saka, Jesus, Martinelli, Smith Rowe is there, Odegaard, and they've added Osimhen on top of that. That would be absolutely crazy. So those are the kind of signings that would definitely have in the title race once again next season, and maybe fighting for the Champions League. So I'd love if we get him. If it meant that's the only player you get, maybe two players, and Osman is one of them, I'd take it.
Yeah, I would. I would. Now, this is the talking point on Osimhen. Napoli want not less than 100 million, and with Shakhtar proving that anyone can get 100 million from a player if they decide to,
Yeah,
with Benfica
yeah,
proving that you can get 120 million from a player if you decide to be patient, right? Napoli will be taking notes. Now, Napoli have been taking notes from all these clubs because, to be honest, Napoli are not going to keep all this talent for the next 5 years. It's impossible.
yeah,
They'll sell
yeah,
Kavica Kvaratskhelia, they'll sell Osimhen, they'll sell Politano, maybe they'll sell Zelinski, they'll sell some of the players in there, the likes of Zombongis as well. But if we had a budget like 150 million, right?
yeah.
Would you splash the 100 on Victor Osimhen?
Yes, 100%. He's a proven striker. I would do it. Like, I would not want to see Osimhen at Man United. I know that would improve
Definitely
them
no.
100%. I don't want that.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's about, and we've not really, as I said, we've not really fought for players like this and bought players and beat rivals to players like this. So how about we do it now? We can do it now. I definitely get him. I personally, right now, I don't think like striking is our biggest problem or anything. But if you get a chance to sign a player like this who has scored double figures in the last like 5 seasons in a row, double figures, 12, 10, 19, 18, all those goals, and this season is not over. He could easily get 30 goals. This is a very, very easy. The way he scores 2 goals per game,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
crazy. So this is a player who's absolutely proven now. He's played in 3 different leagues or 4 in Germany, in Italy as well, in France, in Belgium. He's been around, and I'm not sure how old he is at the moment, but I
I
think
think
he
it's
would be great.
23. 23.
That's a very good age. That is a
Yeah.
very good age.
Like he still has like 9 years at the top level. 9 years.
Yeah, you actually almost spot, and he just turned 24
Okay.
recently. So I think that's still almost the same thing. So it definitely does fit into our the kind of player we are signing as well. That kind of age, he will be there for a few years too. 100 million is good. People are signing players for 130 million, 20 million, and stuff. So you have to do it. You have to splash it. I think we're the only team who's never done that. Man United have done that with Pogba, Sancho, Maguire. Chelsea have done that a lot. Mudryk, Fernandes. Liverpool have done that with Alisson and Van Dijk. Man City have done it with Grealish. I think we now need to also pay up for that kind of play.
Yeah, true. Look, if Arsenal do it, we will have smashed our transfer record. I
By
don't think
far.
it's that. Yeah, by far, really, really by far. And I hope it happens. Really, I hope we go for a striker that is, top notch, really top notch. Now, talking about players that are top notch, there is also talk of Arsenal being interested in strikers and players, actually, not strikers, but players that have experience as we embrace the UEFA Champions League stage. We've been linked with Lautaro Martinez. Lautaro Martinez is also linked with Real Madrid right now, and is linked with Tottenham Hotspur as well again. Is he a player who take just for Champions League, just for the pedigree, Champions League qualities, done it over some time, and his general quality as a player has always been, I think, at the top.
Yes, but sometimes every time I watch him, he misses a lot of chances.
Yeah, he
You
does.
see,
Yeah.
you see, you know the reason why he did not play the knockout stages for Argentina and Alvarez replaced him is because he missed a lot of chances in the first two
Mm.
games, and Alvarez was brought to the team, and he actually played very well with Messi after that. He's a very good player. Yes, he can play different positions, right side, left side, up front, and stuff. He's used to it. He's won a World Cup now. He's used to all that. Serie A winner, but I think there would be better names out there. He would add experience, yes, but I would not be keen, like 100% keen. Like I'd not be like, oh my goodness, Tottenham are getting him. We need to get him. No, I'd be like, well, let them get him. Let them get him. No
Mm.
problem. So I'm not really. It doesn't really tick all the boxes for me. Maybe a couple, but not all the boxes at the moment. Last season, I think we talked about him last season,
Yeah, we did.
and I said yes. But every time I've watched him since, it's like missing a lot of chances and a
Yeah,
bit
he does.
wasteful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's been Inter Milan's main talisman this campaign. Actually, I think last campaign,
it
and
depends on how much as well.
yeah, exactly. It's
How
okay.
much you're paying for him?
Um, but for Champ, look, I think he's one of those players that could create a difference for us when we play at the big stage. I looked at him against Barcelona, and he was very, very superb. Not even just scoring the goals, but he's more of a player who can turn into a Karim Benzema, like
Mm.
a Karim Benzema kind of guy, that kind of guy that raises up on the big stage, and that's what we need. If we're gonna win the Champions League in the next 2 years, while we are still a hot property, you need those players that rise up on the occasion. I think he's one of those. I think he's one of those that I'll go, okay, um, for 30 million, come to Arsenal.
For 30 million, I'd take it. For 30 million, I'd take it. But crazy numbers like 60, 70, no. 30 million, I'd take him. No problem with that.
Yeah. The last two strikers that, of course, they are always going to be linked with everyone. Randa Colomwani, France. Marcus Thuram, France. Marcus Thuram is on a free, right? And he's having an amazing season at Borussia Mönchengladbach. Colomwani is not on a free, but he's highly likely to leave. I'm going to ask you this. Would you just get a Marcus Thuram on a free, or because Colomwani for me is the better player? Like I've watched the Bundesliga for like the last 3 weeks, and I'm really really impressed with Colomwani. But
Mm.
would you would you feel like there is no experience, so there is nothing we get from those two, or would you feel like yeah, just add them to the squad?
I think one of them scored in the World Cup for France. I can't
Yeah,
remember who it
Marcus
was.
Thuram. Thuram.
He came on and scored.
Yeah.
His dad was a very good defender. So I have Colomwan in my German Bundesliga fantasy game. I have him up front with I don't remember who else, but I think Muller or someone. He's doing very well. Yes. I'd be happy to take Marcus Thuram from the league and for on a free. I'd definitely be willing to take him. Obviously, I think, but still for both, I'd still need to see more. I'd still need to see more for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, they've just broken through after the World Cup and everything, and this year they're doing well. But I'd be willing to wait for them first. I'd not really pay. But if it's on free for Marcus Thuram, why not? Why not? So if he fits into the system as well, there's obviously that as well. If he fits into the system, and he's one of those players who can play on the left side as well on the right side, I'd be happy to do that. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, let's wait. Let's wait and see if Arsenal will, try to go with the crazy names, like those big crazy names. The times when I like the crazy names, especially
Mm.
when you're doing transfer episodes, because people love crazy names. People like those
Now,
big names.
Osimhen, if Osimhen signed for Arsenal, that would absolutely exciting signing. The Sky Sports would talk about him. Every YouTube channel would talk about him. Arsenal fans would buy his kits. Like you'd feel like you're waiting for next season. We've not
Yeah,
really done that. Yes, we've signed some really good players, but I don't think most of those players that we've signed, most of people were like, nah, I'm not sure. Like if when Tomiyasu signed, I don't think people are like, wow,
nah, nah.
Tomiyasu or Ben White or
Actually, I think
Ramsdale.
Tomiyasu is one of those ones that signed, and people were just happy that Bellerin had gone, and we got a new right back. I think
Yeah.
that's what happened with Tomiyasu. He had come in, when you come to fill a spot that no
Mm.
one is in, right?
Yeah.
You're always more than enough.
Yeah, I think the last kind of signing we made like that was Partey, and even him is a midfielder. But Osman as a striker, you signed an exciting striker. I remember even Aubameyang when he signed for us, I was, oh my goodness, we need to watch a game with him, and he scored on his debut and everything. I think Osman would bring exactly that as well. So we need an exciting signing this time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for watching the show. It has been really, really a lot of content in it. Of course, we'll be back with Glenn on some other day talking about the midfield situations and what will be our priorities in the summer. I wanted us to talk about Jude Bellingham, but that guy needs an episode because it's gonna be real crazy. And after the confirmation that Arsenal admire him, I know we won't sign him, but I want us to give it a try. I would like Arsenal to give it a try on Jude. But we'll talk about more of that, the likes of Moises Caicedo and all. Subscribe to Glenn. He's found on YouTube, Glenn Kitely, everything Arsenal, and Glenn Kitely, everything football. So those two channels will give you everything you need in terms of sport and fantasy Premier League as well. He's my guy. You can find him on Twitter, Glenn Kitely. Is it also everything?
No, just Glenn Kitely. Everything for FC is like for everything Arsenal tweet.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll catch you in the next one. Hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast as well.